adversity, bring it. The struggle, I welcome it. Snooze on life, never that. I am Dave Regina, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 186. As always, I'm in the booth with a new three. We have Will, the mental monster, Carter, Claudio, the voice, Valenzuela, and I am Dave, the body, Regina. I got to stop saying that with so many fit guys here. Will Carter was born and raised in Westchester, New York, where he was an all-state football player and wrestler. He went on to play football at Ithaca College, where he was a 2-year captain and an all-region linebacker. He studied physical and health education and ended up with his master's in education leadership. Will found CrossFit in 2014 through his brother. He competed at the 2022 CrossFit Games and took 8th in the world with Team MFLH. In 2023, they took 4th. Will earned the title of the fittest teacher in the world, both in 22 and 24, and recently placed 51st worldwide in the CrossFit Open. This year, he'll be competing as an individual. He's a full-time PE teacher and coaches football and wrestling at John Jay High School. Will Carter, welcome to the podcast, my brother.
Thank you for having me, man. Excited to be here. It was a good job. It was a good intro. It was a good job.
Hey, listen, man, I didn't do any of that. You did. And shout out to Sean Degnan for connecting us.
Yes.
I got to put you on the spot, though. He told me that you guys went back and forth in high school, wrestling. I mean, I think I know who won these matches, man. Talk to us.
Me and Sean battled back in the day. It was pretty sure it was section semifinals.
Ooh.
And I think he was just a sophomore back then. I was a junior, but he was still huge. And I was excited to wrestle him because he was so damn big. And he had that big shoulder brace on. I was ready to go. I beat him 8-2. I was kind of pissed I didn't pin him, but he's tough. So it was a good match. It was a good match.
I love the way he explains that too, right? I would have, if that was me, I would have been like, I'll whoop that boy's ass. Don't play with me. No, but Shawnee, thank you for connecting, man. We appreciate you, my brother. How'd this all begin for you? I know your brothers played a pivotal role, I'm sure, in the competitive nature. Like just being in the household. You have 2 brothers?
I have 2 older brothers, yeah.
Talk to me about them.
Yeah, so being the youngest definitely had a lot to do with being competitive growing up. You know, it was definitely they were a little closer in age where they were 2 years apart, and I was 6 years apart from my oldest, 4 years apart from my middle brother Tommy. So being a little man, as my dad always put, you gotta pay your dues. And they were great big brothers. But again, I was always trying to be like them. I was always trying to keep up with them. Yep. I was always, getting the short end of the stick sometimes, but it definitely grew my competitive nature. And for sure. It was a big part of growing up.
What was the household like, man? I guess, the biggest lesson that you've learned from, give me one from mom and dad. Because, mom has got to be tough. She's just around all boys.
Yes.
Right. And then obviously dad, he's got to pick and choose his battles on when to be tough, when to, be a little soft with you guys. So give me one lesson from each.
I would say my mother is just such a kind and good person, but people don't realize her work ethic. And she just was always driven to work hard. And there's really no excuse not to be working hard. Whether no matter what's going on in your life, whether it's good, bad, you either always should be working for something. Take time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, but hard work is something she prides herself on. My dad, really just also another workhorse, but, really stressed the importance of family. And family's important, and you take care of each other, you look out for each other. And the same thing with people that aren't involved in your family, people that you make relationships throughout your life. Those people are important to you, and you need to respect those relationships and always never forgetting where you came from, where you started.
And where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in Westchester, but right in Thornwood, Valhalla, Pleasantville area. I went to Westlake High School, which is a tiny little school, 500 kids. But he always stressed that to me, the teachers I had, the coaches I had, all the people that, you never forget where you came from, which I think is something I value still today. And it's an important thing I think to hold on to for sure.
This is so random, but I'm thinking of Jack Bramswick. Do you know Jack?
Jack Bramswick, yeah, I know of the Bramswick family. Yeah,
good. All right, cool. That's one of my brothers from college, man.
Yeah.
So it's a small world. Why CrossFit? And I guess how was there any? Well, take me back. I guess let's go further. Why'd you choose wrestling and football versus any other sport?
Yeah, so growing up, I mean, I did all the sports, just like, my parents put us in all different sports, baseball, basketball, football, all that stuff. Swimming, everything you named it, we did it. And then just kind of as I got older, football definitely had a natural ability, was aggressive, and comes from just getting the crap kicked out of my brothers, I think. Just like, I was aggressive and wasn't afraid to tackle. So football was an in from 3rd grade, and I did that. Loved it. Wrestling, I didn't really pick up till 7th grade, which isn't late, but it's just, the modified wrestling. There's the youth programs that they have are just so available, but there's also a problem with burnout with wrestling, kids burning out too soon. So I think starting at that time was good for me. And my dad just saw that I was aggressive and thought wrestling would be a good fit, try it out, and they were giving it. And wrestling was a big program at Westlake. We had a good team. So, and I had played baseball forever. And like, it was funny because by the time I was in middle school, like making the modified baseball team was like a big deal. And I was a good catcher, but I was horrible at batting, horrible. But I made the team. That was huge. That was a big accomplishment. But then going into high school, my dad was like, I don't think you should play baseball anymore. I think you should focus on football and wrestling. And I completely agreed with him. And I felt like just good about it. I mean, I think it's important to try a bunch of different sports, but to really excel in either one and two is good. I don't think you should specialize. I think, and then where I teach now, kids specialize a little too much. I think 2 to 3 sports is fine, but just know, like, where your ability is. Can you work in the off season? It's all just going to make you a better athlete. So we decided to focus on football and wrestling. And from then on, from high school, it was just focused on those. The amount of off season stuff you could do for wrestling is very easy, and a lot is available. I went to a wrestling academy, which is called Empire Deagles. That was a tough environment to be, but it made me mentally tough and made me a better football player. And honestly, in my opinion, football, I think, is the ultimate team sport, which I love. And wrestling, probably the ultimate individual sport. I mean, you're out there by yourself, and I coach them both now in high school, which at the school I teach at, which I love being a part of as well.
Yeah, that's real cool too. What is that like for you to come full circle to where obviously you're still a competitor and you're competing on a world level here with CrossFit Games, but seeing these young men develop, what does that mean to you?
It's awesome. Coaching is a lot. It's a lot of responsibility, and it's a lot of work for not a whole lot of pay. But I really do enjoy it, and I love that relationship you build with these kids and seeing them develop and seeing them go through, honestly, hardships and tough times and struggles, and then the victories are just, overwhelming. So I have memories that I've made at the school that I'm at that I'll never forget. I mean, wins that we've had, losses that we've had. You build these relationships with these kids and you try to build them up. Right now, wrestling season ended not too long ago. We had a great season. And right now we're in the beginning of the stage of the football season I'm running the lifts with the kids in the off season. And then our other coach is doing speed work, 7-on-7 stuff, all that good stuff. So these kids are putting in the work right now to get ready for the fall. Right. So you're part of their journey. And I had coaches that were part of my journey that I'll never forget in those relationships. So it's cool to be a part of.
That's awesome. And I just want to acknowledge you, man, for, getting back into education. I'm a huge supporter and advocate of good educators.
Yes.
I think some people get into education for the wrong reasons, especially in Westchester.
Yeah, for sure.
It's again, you don't make the most money, but you make a lot more money than, say, New York City teachers, right?
Definitely.
But I just want to acknowledge you, man, for getting back into that space, and obviously this mindset that you have, and now, instilling that in these kids is impactful, man. So
yeah, no, I appreciate that. I love teaching. My mom was a teacher for 32 years.
Wow.
So I saw the relationship that she had with her kids, and she was an elementary school teacher, and the relationships she had with not just the kids, but the families and the impact she made, that was what really inspired me to get into teaching and consider it at a young age. So I knew pretty early on I wanted to get into teaching. And yeah, it all comes from my mother, who taught at Eastchester. Shout out Ann Hutch Elementary. She was there for 32 years, and it was cool to see growing up there.
That's a long time, man.
Yeah.
All right, so when you hear this bio, you hear 2014 is when you started CrossFit, right?
Yes.
Talk to me about how you started, and then it wasn't until 2022, so that's 8 years later.
Yeah.
Right? Is my math accurate on that? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
8 years later to actually competing. So was there like a lot of adversity during that time? Like,
yes.
Let's walk through that.
Yeah. So 2014, I just started at my brother's gym, and honestly, coming off of football, I was like, how am I going to fill this hole of competing in football? And honestly, I thought I was going to get into, I'm a big fan of bodybuilding. Thought I was going to get into bodybuilding or MMA, to be honest. But I started going to my brother's gym, and after like a month, I was very much into it and hooked. But then I went and watched the 2015 CrossFit Games, and to go there and watch, and as soon as I watched them, literally after like the first hour, I was like, man, I really want to do this, and I really want to be here. And then when the whole competition was over, it was a great weekend. I was like, I'm never coming back here until I'm competing. So I made that promise to myself that I was going to get there, get on that floor. I went home, talked to my brother about it, and he was like, all right, let's do it. Like, let's go to work. And from then on, that was the goal, to be a CrossFit Games athlete. However, there are levels and there's stages that you have to go through to get to that level. There's the semifinal level, which is the stage right before the CrossFit Games, which just to make it to the semifinal level is super challenging to do, super hard to do. You can also compete as an individual or a team. So you have to kind of just try and navigate these different ways to do it. And in your situation, I started just competing and I started training really hard. I just poured myself into it. I loved it. Throughout the years, though, there were some serious adversity, from injuries to, just simply not being good enough yet. Your mind your mind is at a spot, but you're just physically not there yet. Putting in the time, putting in the work, failing. I had problems with where I reached a point where I felt I was good enough, but part of the stage to qualify is you have to submit videos. One of my videos got penalized, which bumped me out of a spot where I would have qualified for the semifinal level. So I was physically good enough, but because I didn't complete the reps properly, I was disqualified. Dealing with that was super challenging. You think you're good enough, you think you earned a spot, and you fail. And then there was when my team, and I chose to go team with Move Fast Lift Heavy, that their team based out of Long Island. We did qualify in 2020, it was 2022. We did qualify for the CrossFit Games. Finally made it after all these years of work. And, I remember, hugging my parents, crying, calling my brother, just being like, we did it, we made it. And then gearing up for the CrossFit Games. And then 3 weeks out from the CrossFit Games, we get an email saying that one of my teammates failed the drug test and that we're not going anymore. So that was like devastating, because I'm, and what I've learned is that I can handle losing. Like, I handle losing well. It's because I learned at a young age, especially in wrestling, in order to be good and great, you have to lose a shit ton. And that's in almost anything you want to be good at. You have to lose a lot. You have to get your ass kicked a lot. So I handled all those losses through all those years. But that loss, when you think you made it, was different and hit me a little different. And I almost gave up at CrossFit, honestly. I almost, backed out. But yeah, it was a lot of adversity, but to finally make it there in 2022 and then again in 2023, and the results we had was all worth it. So it was a long journey. It was a lot of adversity, but it was a great thing.
I'm locked in, man. I had another question for you, but now I'm, based off of the things that you said, and I want to talk about the injury piece, right? So I look at CrossFit athletes, and you guys are phenomenal, man. Like, I do push-ups and pull-ups, and like I'm doing like squat cleans with a kettlebell, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not moving my body the way that you guys do. What was the worst injury that you've like had to deal with? Because you basically go from, swinging on these bars, competing the way you're competing, to then you're injured and you can't even like do anything. Yeah. That's got to be a real tap into that mindset.
Yeah, it is. Injuries are a part of the sport. And first off, let me just say, you put yourself down. Don't put yourself down so much. You move very well. You're an athlete. Like just because you're not doing CrossFit does not make you not a fit person. So you need to.
Let's go, baby. Listen. Yeah, you heard it here first from the 51st most. Well, what is that?
51st in the open.
51st in the open. And mind you, when these scores come out, I'm telling you, because this is preseason, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna be well above that. I'm putting that into the air right now. Yeah. But you heard it here first. He thinks Dave Regina is a fit guy. So now I'm living up to the body. You know what it is, though? I swear. And again, I do. So you don't know, but I had Crohn's disease. Well, I still have Crohn's disease. So my entire life, man, I battled a lot. I was 153 pounds, soaking wet, was, in high school, getting bullied, having toilet paper in my backpack, throwing up, diarrhea, an athlete, really good basketball player. But I was battling that too. So that started my obsession, with my journey. So I know that I'm fit, but I'm a little disappointed in myself in terms of my mobility. Yes. And mobility takes time and effort. Yeah. And that's the hard thing that I'm trying to battle through now because, I'm a parent as well. I'm a father first. Yeah. I'm a businessman. I'm in local government. We have our No Snooze podcast. I got the ACE Summit. I got a lot going on here. Yeah. But there's, I want to get to that next level. And I want to do it as I continue to age. I'm 34 now, and I just want to keep getting better. Yeah. But I battle that same thing you said before where my mind is so damn strong. And then physically, it's like I'm not there yet. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna give you some mobility stuff when we're done, and we'll go over.
I need that. Let's go, man. So what was the worst injury that put you out?
I mean, there's been two significant injuries. I would say in like 2017, I dislocated my elbow snatching, and that was an elbow that I dislocated in wrestling back in high school. So and I remember going home and like crying to my mom. Like, this is only in 2017. Like, I was like, man, I really felt I was starting to get really good. Like, I felt like I was getting really good. And then this happened. And then my mom was like, what, you think you're just not good anymore because of this? Like, you think everything's out the window now? And I was just like, no, it's just, she's like, you're going to be okay. Like, you're going to be fine. So that was a tough injury, and that's something that I've had to linger and battle with still, because once you dislocate your elbow twice, it's never kind of the same, but it's definitely doing better. And then probably this past, so I had a shoulder separation from college football. Just linger for a while, and leading up to the games, it got really inflamed and really bad. And it was just, and I have a slap tear. So it was just, it got really bad, and I had to do, I ended up doing 2 cortisone shots leading up to the games to
just to get through.
And that was tough, but you just, you have to ride, not even ride that line. You have to just make the decision as an athlete. If you want to compete, there's things that I'm doing right now that aren't necessarily good for my health in the long run. You know what I mean? You just kind of have to accept that. Mm-hmm. If you want to compete at a high level and you want to compete at the best, there's going to be times where there's injuries you have to push through and just do it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So those were the 2 biggest injuries I had, but luckily I was glad I got the cortisone shots because leading up to the CrossFit Games, you don't know what workouts are going to come out. You don't know what you're going to be tested on. You have no idea. You find out that day what the workouts you're doing, so you don't know. So you have to be prepared for everything. So I was able to do a lot, but there were specific movements like the snatch and the overhead squat that were absolutely just killer for me and very painful. And first workout of the CrossFit Games, overhead squats. Shit. So in like a lot of pain, but it's just, have to do it. Then there was a 1 rep max snatch. Then there was a snatch at a medium weight for 10 reps, and like, so I was tested 3 times with that injury. So I was mentally prepared for that. And just, you kind of have to go, you're just like, accept what's going to happen to you. And that's not going to feel good, but trust that you can get through it. And also, I had my teammates there to lean on and support me through that. So that was probably the most toughest. Yeah.
I want to tap into your mental a little bit. You seem extremely locked in when you compete, but you're also very locked in, like even in a conversation like this, you could tell there's a seriousness about you and a competitive edge that I think you have over 99.9% of the world. So I want to tap into that a little bit. What's the routine and the importance of like staying focused, not only in competition, but just as Will lives his life?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that focus and that mental toughness, I think just comes from the experience I've had as an athlete and dealing with regular life, as again, I started wrestling and football and all those things built into, if you want to do well and if you want to excel, there needs to be a level of focus. And I kind of learned that as a young age. And it just kind of stuck with me. And it's something that's just built over time. But also just having a true desire and what you want. What am I doing to get where I want to be? Yes, I'm doing all the physical things. Is there something else that I could be doing? Is there something else that I could be doing better? I mean, all those things are just those constant thoughts and repetitions. And then when things go bad, how do you react? From being just simple in a training session with like other competitors or other people that are not necessarily my competition, but my coach gives us a workout. The first thing he says is a horrible movement for me, but inside I'm screaming, but I'm not going to let them know that.
Mm-hmm.
We're just friends, but it's being competitive and knowing that every little bit helps and every little bit will get you where you want to be. So it definitely comes from experience, honestly. I think you can't be afraid to put yourself in a tough situation because you're going to grow. Like I said, you like learning from wrestling, you have to lose. You have to lose a lot to be good. And that's so true in the avenues that I've taken. And with anything, even like teaching, right? If you want to be a great teacher, you have to try different things, you have to experiment with different things, and you got to make sure you know what you're good at, and there has to be a level of focus in order to execute that well. And that's in any job, really.
Right.
I mean, but what level of focus are you bringing every single day to work? It's hard. It's hard to do.
It's very hard.
And to be like 100% locked in all the time, that's unrealistic. But I think people have a certain level or a certain standard that they're not willing to fall to.
Mm-hmm.
Like even on my worst day, I know I'm willing to give a certain level of effort and a certain level of focus. And you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. You know what I mean? But what is the standard you're falling to? And that's the standard that you set through day after day, year after year of experience. So.
I think that's a great point, man. At the beginning of the year, I choose a word, and then at the end of the year, I kind of score myself. And it's based off of a personal standard. And my personal standard is excellence, right? Like I want to achieve excellence, not perfection because I don't believe that exists, but I want to be undeniable when it comes to my business relationships. I want to be undeniable when it comes to me as a father with my 4-year-old daughter. Yeah. I want to be undeniable in anything that I do. But to do that, I have to set a clear standard and expectation. I think a lot of people in general today, they do not have personal standards. Mm-hmm. So I think what you're saying is actually the value of right now. So if you're driving in your car or if you're on the treadmill, I think you need to evaluate the top things in your life, whether that's you as a parent, you as a spouse, you as a business entrepreneur, male, female, doesn't matter. You have to become clear with a personal standard. I think that was gold, which you just touched
definitely.
on.
Yeah, these you have to have where your priorities are. You need to have non-negotiables. Like, what is a non-negotiable for you? You know what I mean? Like, so many people talk to me about they want to get in shape, they want to go to the gym, they want to do stuff, they want to eat well, you know, and then I understand you have other things going on in your life, which that's the way it is. But when does it become a non-negotiable? You know, people, I see these all the time, these amazing parents putting their kids first always in everything they do. They're running around, they're taking soccer practice, going to this, and it's because it's a non-negotiable. And because it's your kid, you know what I mean? Can you have that same mindset for something for you? And that's always something that fascinates me, and how, you know, the motivation is there. It's just, what's a non-negotiable? Where's your priority list? All those things add up.
Are you looking to elevate your brand with captivating visuals and immersive sound? Look no further than the home of the No Snooze podcast, Kai Visions Productions, your go-to destination for cutting-edge audio and video production. At Kai Visions, we don't just create content, we create experiences that leave a lasting impact. From podcasts, YouTube variety shows, sleek corporate videos, to attention-grabbing promotional campaigns, our team of experts is dedicated to turning your vision into reality. Choose Kai Visions for a production experience like no other. It's time to make your brand known. Contact us today at kaivisions@gmail.com or find us on Instagram at Kai Visions. Kai Visions Productions, where audio-visual excellence meets innovation. Now, back to the Epi. Do you have any, it might be normal to you, but maybe it's a hack to somebody else. Is there anything that you focus on the bad days to get you through them when you really don't want to do something?
Yeah, I think I hear a lot of people talk about like their why and their, which I think is great. And you need to have a why and why you're doing this. And that definitely helps. But something I really think about is that I know that when that necessarily, let's say just time wise, like I have the time to do something, but I really don't want to do it. My life is too busy for me to pass up that opportunity, because I know life is going to happen. Life is going to happen where it's like, you know, I plan to work out and I plan to get this workout in that I need, or this session that I need, but either maybe someone needs my help, or a kid walks in and I'm squeezing in this workout for my schedule in between work, in between finishing school day and like practice. I'm squeezing in this workout, let's say. But if a kid comes in or my boss needs me for something, I have to X that workout and go do it. So when you do have time and you really don't want to do it, I need to make sure I get it done so that I don't feel like bad on when I went and took care of that thing I had to take care of. Mm-hmm. So knowing that life is going to happen, you have the time now, even though physically or mentally you don't want to do it, you need to get it done. And the word proud, whether I get this done, if I get this workout done or I get whatever I need to get done, I know I'm going to be so proud of myself for getting through it and getting it done. And I'm going to tell myself that. I'm proud of you. Good job. Like halfway through, literally there was a workout I did the other day and I was like, I don't know if I can do this right now. This is like really tough. This is a 40-minute workout holding a pace that, I don't know, my coach said that like wouldn't be a super problem for me, but it seems like it's going to be a problem. And I start the workout. I'm 10 minutes in. I'm like, holy cow, this is going to be, but I'm like, but just think about, hold on to how proud you're going to be when you're done. You're 10 minutes in. Yes, you have 30 minutes to go. This sucks, but you are going to be so proud of yourself. I don't think people tell themselves that enough.
I think that's huge, man. I think that's another gold piece right there. I think people don't even allow themselves to be proud because they end up telling themselves no, and then they don't do it. Yeah. And when you do that, when you tell yourself you're going to do something and then you actually don't do it, I think a piece of confidence is actually pulled from you.
For sure.
100%. And I think over time, like you're now at a level, I like to believe that I'm at a level as well to where, and not just physically, I'm talking, just in life, to where when I say I'm going to do something, I do it, and I do it to a very high level. But to build that over time, you have to practice. Mm-hmm. So whether you have a goal of losing 5 pounds, 50 pounds, you want to be a better entrepreneur, you want to build your email list, you have to begin to get clear on the things that you want to do and then start achieving them very slowly. Those small wins that everybody talks about is the thing that gets you that confidence 100%. And that word proud, man, is awesome. I love that. Leadership. What does leadership mean to you?
Leadership is a privilege. And if you're lucky enough to be in a position to lead, you know, it's going to show a lot about who you are. I've been fortunate to be in positions to be honored to lead, and they've been great experiences for me growing as a person, growing as a man. And then there's been times where I've been a follower, and I follow leaders, and I've been on both sides, and I enjoy them both. You know, naturally, no matter what the position I'm in, I'm gonna be a natural leader, just the way I am. But like I said, it's a privilege, and when you're in that position, whatever group or team you're leading, the one thing that is vital is that the team is first. The team is always first. So there's going to be times where you have to make sure setting the example, you're doing the right thing. That's always a given. Setting the example, doing the right thing, that's a given. That's basics for leadership. But when it comes time to make those hard decisions in those hard situations, is this best for the team? Not for me as an individual, for the team. What's going to get this team where it needs to be and achieve the goals that's going to be achieved? And yeah, CrossFit, I've been a team athlete for the past 3 years. So, you know, and the teams are 2 males and 2 females. So the team dynamic is super important. Christian Harris was my captain for those 3 years, you know, and I followed him. Whatever he told me to do, I did, and whatever he needed me to do, I did. And I followed him anywhere. As we got more comfortable throughout the years, I definitely became more vocal and more set, you know, explained that I'm also a leader too. And we just vibed well, and we just pushed each other, and we propelled this team. And then also with the females that we had as well. So leadership is huge. And like I said, privilege.
I love that. Joe Girardi, I may have said this on a podcast, but he was our keynote speaker at our first annual Action Cultivates Excellence men's retreat that we did. And he said in his keynote speech, and it was very like casual and nonchalant, he said, replace the word, you know, the, what is it? No, it's not an acronym. From the Bible. It's a Bible verse, but it's love is patient, love is kind, right? Yep. Take the word love out and put leadership. And when you actually read through that, it is one of the most fire things that I've ever heard. And I encourage you to share that with like your team.
Definitely.
Because it's something that like when you actually go look at that Bible verse and you just take that word love out and you replace it with leadership, it's incredible, man.
Yeah. I love that. That's awesome.
I'm going to shift you completely. Your tattoos, man.
Yeah.
So the work is incredible, man.
Yes.
The line work on it is beautiful.
Shout out Jay-Z. He's a guy in Brooklyn. He does really, really good stuff. Really good work.
Well, this guy's big time. Jay-Z is tattooing him. You know, I have a couple tattoos and I'm like, oh my God, what did I do that at 17 years old? But so they have to have a real meaning to you.
Yes.
I noticed a butterfly. I noticed a wolf. And some verbiage on the side and axes.
Yes.
Talk to me about it.
Yeah, so first tattoo was actually done by my friend Corey Haberman, who I went to high school with. He gave me the first 2 axes on my ribs, which was an aggressive spot to start because it hurt a lot. That was aggressive. That was actually after I didn't make the CrossFit Games. And I was like, I want something that's going to symbolize my commitment to work, and those 2 axes symbolize the commitment to work, and then I'm dedicating myself back to working again. And I was thinking about getting the quote with it, Abraham Lincoln quote, give me 5 hours to chop down a tree and I'll spend 3 hours sharpening the axe. So that was just my commitment to work. Maybe get that quote, we'll see, but that's not on me yet. So yeah, that was the 2 axes. Then I wanted to really expand and opened it up and went with my chest. The wolf represents rage. The butterfly represents serenity, and the importance of having both. And to have both, you need to creates focus. And then I have I will in the middle, which obviously my name, but also something will is an important word to me because, it's one of the most strongest forces in the world is a person's will to do something. So I will. Underneath that, I have in the Roman numerals, I have my parents' marriage date. So they're a huge part of my life, and they're a huge part of me as a person and having balance and having will. But really my chest really represents balance. And in order to have true focus, there's a quote, it's what between rage and serenity, true focus lies in the middle. So that's something that I've always been a part of my life. And that's kind of always the way I've thought about true focus and being a competitor, being a good person. You need to have that focus, you need to be ready. And then I also have, and then to go along with that, know yourself and done with fear. So those are just other added in there. And then on my arms, my most recent one was on my biceps. I have order on one arm and chaos on the other. So again, I'm a very big believer in balance, dark, light, yin, yang, and having I believe every person has both, and you need to lean into one in one time of your life, lean into another time of your life. But staying in that middle place is also where you need to be as well. So.
When you see people and they have tattoos on them and you're just like, hey, yeah, man, you don't live that way.
Yeah.
I look at your shit and I'm like, it's a perfect representation of what it is that you do, man. And I love the way that you even articulate it. Yeah. It means a lot to you. And I think, for people who don't have tattoos that just think it's like people who don't have muscles and then they see people with muscles. They're like, oh, you're a meathead. Yeah. There is real meaning behind art.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I didn't really get tattoos till in my late 20s.
Smart, man.
What I mean? So like and it was funny because as a kid, I was obsessed with tattoos. I would save up money. I would get like $10, go get them all in quarters, go to the tattoo like machine at the supermarket, get them, and then cover myself with them. Cover myself in one shot, not just like one time. I'd say, but I knew I wanted the tattoos, but I really wanted to think about it and make sure it was something I wanted. There's another one that I want to get, which is another great like mental piece, Amor Fati, which is Marcus Aurelius, which stands for love of fate, which is, I've been reading his book recently and just like, I'm like, man, this would be a sick tattoo. You know what I mean? It's something I've been just to love whatever's happening in your life, good, bad, love of fate. So that's something that I really like. And it's a combination, right? You need to have tattoos. You should have a meaning, right? I think. But then you also want it to look good too. You know what I mean? You want it to look good and you want it to look right. It's got to fit in the right spot. And I just took my time with that, honestly. But yeah.
Well, smart.
Yeah.
Real smart. I love the duality of rage and focus. That's something I haven't heard.
Rage and serenity.
Rage and serenity creates focus.
Creates focus, yes.
I haven't heard that before.
Yes.
I've heard other words paired with serenity, but not the rage.
Yes.
I think that just as men and as, whether you're a competitive athlete or a competitive businessman or a competitive father, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think all men have those too, like you're saying. But to find that balance is hard.
Yes.
How do you, so reading is obviously something that you do to stay focused. How do you stay focused at such the level that you're at? Everything you do has to be almost in that rage mindset. Yes. So how do you come back and focus?
So, it's interesting you say that because like when I was in college and football and wrestling was way more leaned into that rage mindset because you have to go out there and you have to be a killer. You have to be ready to go. And I mean, I'm 5'7", you know, there's these massive dudes out there, but I had the mindset where I don't give a fuck. I don't care how big you are. I don't care how strong you are. You haven't been through what I've been through. You're not the man I am, and I'm going to beat the shit out of you all day today. That was leaned into that rage, and I loved it. And that's the way I played the game. You know what I mean? And maybe a quarterback might play the game differently, right? Because it's more of a mental thing for them. Me as a linebacker, it's I'm gonna fuck you up, and it's gonna happen all day. And there were games where I got my ass kicked for sure. It's the way the game was. But by the time I was at my best, it wasn't happening very often. Now, as a CrossFit athlete, you need to really, I feel it's more of a balance. There are some workouts where there's heavy weights and there's heavy lifting, where, okay, we need to get juiced up and we need to get nasty and lean into that rage and use it. And then there's workouts where if you come out too hot and you're all hyped up and ready to go, you're going to die out and you're going to burn out. So, and that's another thing why I love the sport. It's a balance. It's both. As I've learned as an athlete, you have to be careful, not because sometimes I get myself too hyped up. You know what I mean? If I get myself too hyped up, and literally just from a biology standpoint, if my heart rate is skyrocketing because I'm just juicing myself up mentally, which is very easy for me to do. My heart rate's jacked up. We have a 20-minute AMRAP and you're already above pace. Because you're too hyped up. So that's leaning into that serenity and breathing and focus and flow and taking the correct steps, knowing when to do that. So I think, like I said, it comes from experience and knowing what you need when you need it. You know, knowing what you need when you need it, and trial and error. You know, I remember my brother, before one of our open workouts, which was it was an important workout. It was an online stage. You know, I was trying to stay, I was getting like just too amped up. And he was like, I need you to calm down right now. I need you to focus a little bit. I need you to bring down your heart rate. You're pacing back and forth. You have music in your ears. You got headphones on. You're pacing back and forth. You're just like, you know, this isn't that workout. Let's think about what you're gonna do step by step, and let's go. And we did that, and it went well. And I knew exactly what he was talking about. And then there's been times where he was like, I need you sharper right now. You're kind of loosey goosey. I need you to sharpen up. You know, you're gonna do this warm up that's going to have you dripping in sweat. Then we're going to do some breathing, and then you're going to hit this workout and you're going to smash it. You know what I mean? But I need you sharp, you know? So it's all about how you've tested yourself, you know, how much have you tested yourself and how have you put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, you know? And that's when you find true focus and you learn what you need when you need it. Right. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. So it had Cordell the Gift Booker. He's a world champion boxer. Friend of mine, previous guest on the podcast. He was talking about the difference of, say, the top 100 boxers in the world, and how from a skill level, it's not really about the skill. It's more about the opportunity in that sport, right? Like if you don't have the same marketing background or the same marketing team, you might not be able to put yourself in that opportunity. I'm curious on a CrossFit level. Yeah. You're talking top 100 in the world, basically top 50 in the world. Is there a difference between that number 1, 2, 3 spot, like the Rich Fronings, right? Versus, you know, somebody that's not in that 100.
Yeah, no, there definitely is. You know, CrossFit has a big marketing to it for sure, for social media and athletes being able to market themselves. There's athletes that are super fit, that are incredible athletes, but aren't marketing themselves as much. They don't put themselves out there as much, and they're just not getting those big sponsorship deals. Whereas there's other athletes that are less fit, but know how to navigate social media better and know how to market themselves better, and they're getting more sponsors, you know, getting paid more. So it's a mixed bag like that. And I think it really is, it comes from, you know, either that person has figured out, and you get the combination of both, right? You get the high-end athletes that know how to market themselves really well, that put themselves out there. There's examples like Noah Olson. He's one of the top tier individual athletes in the sport for years. He does a great job with his social media. He's got a YouTube channel. He's got an agent. He's got all this stuff. He's had big deals like Nike. But then there's, other athletes that like, it's crazy because the level is, maybe that athlete isn't quite, just a little bit not as fit, maybe just a little bit. They're maybe they go to the CrossFit games and they're like 17th in the world, which is like incredible, but you probably don't know them, probably wouldn't recognize them, but they're 17th in the world. And to get to that level and to be that good is so hard. It is so hard to be, just to be a low level athlete at the CrossFit games, because it's so hard to make it there. So it definitely is similar to the boxing. Whereas like, if you don't market yourself, it's not going to pay the bills. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you have to put an enormous amount of work to get there. Christian Harris, my teammate, he does an amazing job with his company and his brand, marketing himself, promoting a team. And that was such a big, cool thing to be a part of, because he does a great job with Move Fast, Lift Heavy. And then they've really gotten well known on the East Coast in the CrossFit world. And now it's almost like it's a staple for East Coast CrossFitters. I think a lot of people know Move Fast, Lift Heavy. He's definitely the Northeast for sure. But that stems from him, right? He was a semifinals level individual athlete, which isn't making it to the games, but he made it to the games on a team. However, he did a great job of showing his lifestyle as a CrossFitter, a man, a father, all those things, and he's made a huge name for himself, which is awesome.
This is going to be a tough question for you. What do you have to do to be number one in the world?
What do you have to do to be the number one in the world? You have to go all in, and you have to sacrifice a lot.
Like quit your career?
Yeah, I would have to quit my job for sure, without a doubt. And quit my job and just nothing but CrossFit. Nothing but CrossFit. And even then, it might not be enough. And I've made my peace with that. You know what I mean? Like I love teaching. I love what I do. My schedule is absolutely insane when I am coaching wrestling and coaching football. But I find a way to do it because I love it. And there's just, in order to be the best in this sport, you have to go completely all in, and it has to be nothing but training and eating and sleeping. And to go down that rabbit hole, I've been in those positions before, and it's really hard to do. And there are people that do have the opportunities to do that. I was doing that for a little bit early on in my CrossFit career because it just worked out that way. I was just getting my master's degree, so it was easy, and I was all into CrossFit. But I chose to start my teaching career, which definitely is the opposite of going all into CrossFit. You know what I mean? You have to be a harsh critic. And if you want to go all in, it'd be all in CrossFit. And there's athletes that I know that are doing that right now. And, maybe they make it, maybe they don't, but they're on the path that they know they'll know. But I chose to start my teaching career because I just love teaching, and I needed to make money. I wanted to make money. You know what I mean? I wanted to be able to be stable. But it requires all in, and I'm not going to say no days off because that's just not realistic, but getting to that level of there's never not a day where you're doing something to be better in the sport.
Right. That's the number one goal.
It is, yeah.
Just be everything.
Yeah, for sure.
This episode is brought to you by Hudson Valley Teeth Whitening. Hudson Valley Teeth Whitening is an experienced teeth whitening salon where you can get up to 7 shades lighter with just a 60 or 90-minute session in a professional and relaxing setting. They offer the most superior product coupled with the highest quality of customer service available to get you instant results. Whether you have an important event to attend, such as a wedding, birthday, anniversary, interview, or you are just unhappy with the color of your teeth, this LED light technology helps whiten your teeth fast and easy. At Hudson Valley Teeth Whitening, they understand how important your smile is to you. And speaking from personal experience, you'll be guided by highly efficient staff in a relaxing environment to reach your desired shade. Let them know you're a friend of Dave's from the No Snooze podcast and connect with them at HudsonValleyTeethWhitening.com or on Instagram at HV Teeth Whitening. Now, back to the Epi. Give me a goal that you have in mind, if you have one, that's completely outside the realm of the athletic world. Talk about life.
Yeah.
I want to know a little bit more about that.
Love that, yeah. So as I'll give two. For teaching career and then something completely out there. Teaching wise, I'm a phys ed teacher, very involved with phys myself. I truly believe that phys education is the answer to solving a lot of our country's obesity problems, and it's been overlooked because so many people have had teachers in their phys ed teachers in their life where it's just, oh, go roll out the basketballs and
they're eating coffee
and have, okay, we're going to play basketball. But at my school, at John Jay, we are teaching kids how to work out, and we are teaching kids not just the typical weights, weight training, cardio, any sort of movement you want to learn and do is good. And teaching them skills and things that like, a kid could come to me and say, I really like American Ninja Warrior. And like, I've been watching that show. I'm like, all right, how are we going to implement this so this kid can get more into that and feel, and maybe this sparks something. Maybe they get into pull-ups, whatever it is. And even just teaching kids how to play, we've been hammering pickleball, because pickleball is a great, fun sport that is like,
awesome. It's real fun.
Exactly. But like, if let's say that kid gets invited to graduate high school. Let's say that kid gets invited to go play pickleball or something, but they're unsure. They're not confident. They don't know how to play it. They've never done it. Just by having the experience they had in high school, be like, okay, well, I did do the sport in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I do know the rules. I know how to serve. I know all that stuff because Mr. Carter made me. You know what I mean? So I do know how to play. Yeah, I'll go play. And then who knows? Maybe that snowballs in it, but that kid's being active. So I really want to focus on getting phys ed as a huge staple for helping with the obesity crisis and type 2 diabetes in this country and heart disease and all that stuff. And there's something I'm working on and giving, and more focused on fitness. Not every school has we have an amazing facility. We have a sick gym. We just have an incredible, we've invested in our facility. It's an amazing spot, but I want to make something. I'm putting together a plan that teaches fitness to schools that don't have that equipment, because it's hard. It's hard to teach kids how to work out when you have a, most school gyms are not elaborate, so it's a focus on dumbbells, right? You can learn a lot with dumbbells. You can teach so many different movements with dumbbells, and they're available for kids at home. They're available, like, so many people, how many people have a pair of dumbbells in their house, right? One pair of dumbbells. You get one pair, that's one kid, you get 10 pairs of dumbbells. That's 20 kids in your class with a dumbbell in there. And I could teach them how to squat. I could teach them how to snatch. I can teach them how to clean. I could do a ton of stuff. Pat Denoda is going to tell me he wants kettlebells, which would be awesome to do as well. But I'm right now, that's something I'm working on, is a program.
Wow, that's awesome, man. I think there's, as you were saying that, I was kind of getting like, I don't know, like the chills almost, because of the impact that would provide. And I think that if we can attack that world, attack the problem early on with these kids, because again, in local government, I deal a lot with youth, and we're very connected to the school district. But I'm a huge proponent of health and wellness myself. But it's hard to do because you have people who are in positions in government, in the school systems, that really don't live that lifestyle. So when they're not living the lifestyle, and now you're trying to teach that to kids, they don't take you seriously. If Will Carter's my gym teacher, somebody like you, I'm like, oh man, like I have no choice. It reminds me of my coach, my basketball coach, Patrick Scanlon, Manhattanville College. This guy was about it. We had 4 a.m. unit trainings, and my man was there at 3:30. He would box us Like he was
Awesome,
there,
yeah.
but that's what it takes. And again, you don't have to be the fittest person in the world like Will Carter,
No.
but you do have to embody the traits of that if you're in that world.
Yes.
And I think that's super important, man.
Yeah.
But I think you're stepping into, you talk about the why before, I think you're stepping into that purpose. And it's starting to become real clear for you. And I think these CrossFit games are actually going to give you the platform to do this on a bigger scale with education, man.
Yeah, because right now I'm very much focused on, and this is selfishly, but I'm focused on myself and pursuing my goals. Yes, I want to be the best teacher I can, but right now I'm pouring myself into CrossFit and competing as an athlete. Also while still putting a lot of time into teaching and coaching.
Of course.
But I know once that time ends and it will eventually come to an end, that's something I really want to focus on and really attack. And there's been bits and pieces here and there that, I've started to put together and a couple people I've talked to about it. And you know what I mean? So yeah, I think physical education is a huge, and we just talk about it all the time with our staff, and mental health. The mental health is just such an important aspect to these kids and what they're dealing with right now. And there's just so much crap out there that they can take in, so quickly, so easily. That's the world we live in. And it can be a positive thing, but also can be a very negative thing too. And mental health is under a huge attack. And it's a fact that physical activity is going to benefit them. It's going to be something, an outlet maybe for them, maybe not for every kid, but just if you can help one kid get into a hobby, get into something where they feel good about themselves, it's huge.
It's good stuff, man. So most of our listeners, about 74%, I believe, are age 24 to 45. Right? So like right smack in that ballpark. To somebody who wants to achieve their goals in 2024, whether it's business, fitness, as a parent, whatever it is, what would your like top two things be to say to that person?
I would ask them two questions. I would ask them, what have you built? And how have you tested the structure of what you've built? So,
yeah, give me an example of that.
When I look at myself in being a CrossFit athlete, I've spent years building what I am today, and to get to this level of competing, that's something I've built. Me. How have I tested the structure of that? I've repeatedly put myself in competitions, in fine-tuning, in being the harsh critic, being tough on myself, putting myself out there, being okay with going to a competition and losing. And that's the way I've tested that structure, knowing that it will continue to build.
Yeah.
So
go ahead. Sorry.
So it's just, what do you want to build and what do you want to create? The example that I just gave you, that whole dumbbell thing, that program, that's something I have in my mind, but at the end of the day, I haven't put nearly as much work into it for it to be built or be anything. Yes, the idea's in my head, but I haven't built it. And I definitely haven't tested the structure of it. So know where you're at and be honest with yourself. What have you done? What have you not done? What steps have you taken? Be the harsh critic. You need to be your harshest critic, which is tough to do. But if you start to take those steps and you start to really analyze it, then, cause I taught like that conversation we just had, and that how it gave you chills, and that's great. And that's good. But if I don't do anything about it, that's where it will stay, and it will never grow into existence. And right now I'm putting that on the shelf because like I said, I have other things going on. But if that's where it stays, that's where it stays. And there are so many people that have those same ideas and those same goals, those same aspirations, but that's where it stays. When did you start to build it? When did you start to test it and test the structure and test the foundation of it? So be a harsh critic is the advice I would give, and think about that.
Take me back 5 steps, because that's a very high level answer, right? Now, to somebody who listens to all the motivational stuff, that's a great step. So they're there in their life, but they haven't found a way to take action, and they're not ready to critique themselves the way that you do, the way that I do, the way that the actual term "no snooze," what that actually means, right? Talk to the person who, again, they know they want more, but they haven't been able to do anything.
Yeah, I would say you got to just be okay with, you might have this idea in your head like, all right, I'm going to try and do this, this, and this, and I'm going to take these steps, or even if you don't even have that, but you just have to do something, and you have to take action. Maybe it's the person's goal is, I want to start working out. I want to start losing weight. That's a big one for everyone, right? But I don't have time during the day. All right, I'm going to try and get up at 5 a.m. I'm going to try out. Just do one day. Just one day. That one day of the week. Be like, all right, I'm going to do this once. I'm going to see how I feel. I'm going to give it a try. If it all goes to shit, at least and you tried and you gave it a shot. You might wake up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. You might get out of bed. You might not. You might snooze. Hopefully you get out of bed, you take action. But it being okay with failing and messing up and not figuring it out for maybe your first 10 tries. How can you take action, but being okay with just completely going to shit? You know what I mean? So that's like just, and dieting too, right? Trying to eat well, trying to, you know what I mean? Like, you have to try different things. It took me years to figure out what diet works for me. It took me years to figure out what makes sense. It did not just happen. And same thing with teaching, and like what we talked about with the dumbbell thing. Like, I know I'm going to mess up a lot with that till I get it right. I know I'm going to mess up a ton, and I know, but if I try with my class, all right, let's try this dumbbell movement. Let's try this. It's going to be trial and error.
I think you said something important before too about, like, you have to really know what it is that you want. So I'll give you an example. And again, I'm very committed and focused on becoming the best version of Dave Regina as possible in every facet of my life. So just last week, I sat down with CV and a former VP of the UFC, Diamandis Lingos, who's an incredible friend and mentor to me, right?
Awesome.
I kept coming up with the excuse that I didn't have time to add more things to my morning routine, because my morning routine compared to 99% of the world is top notch, right? The second I wake up, I'm making my bed. I'm hydrating with 40 to 50 ounces of salt and lemon water. I'm throwing Joel Osteen in my ear. I'm getting my daughter ready. My clothes for the day have already been picked out the night before, because my routine starts the night before, right? For me to have a successful day, it doesn't start in the morning. It actually starts the night before. So my preparation is top notch, but I know that I want to get better both in my faith and in terms of my mind, calming my mind down. So I kept saying to Diamandis, I just can't. What do you want me to wake up at 4:45 now? She's like, yeah, if that's what it takes. Because the two things that I wanted to add is to read my Bible a little bit and to also meditate. So since the day that we've had that conversation, I have not missed one day. I have not. Turn your microphone on right now, CV, and tell me, because we also, like, we sat and it was like an accountability thing. And they really humbled me, man, because, it doesn't matter what level you're at.
Yeah.
Find the effing time. Stop making excuses. CV, talk to us real quick.
I was going to say, I started meditating as well since then.
Did you do the other things you were supposed to be doing?
Yeah, I told you.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
So again, my point here is that it doesn't matter what level that you're at, right? You can always strive to be a little bit better, and you can find the time, but we got to stop with the excuses, man.
100%. I mean, you have two hands. They're same as mine, same as yours. You're a human being. You are limitless in what you're capable of, and people underestimate that. It's something I see, and I remind my kids every single day, and especially with wrestling, right? These kids get so nervous, they get so, and like they're going against another person that weighs the same amount of weight as them. Maybe they look more intense, but you have two hands. You can do whatever you want to do. Go out there, perform, do what you need to do. either way, the belief that you can needs to be there just because who you are.
Gold stuff, man. I got to soften them up a little bit. So I'm gonna end with this question here.
Yes.
You don't have kids yet, right?
No.
What's your favorite part about being an uncle?
Oh boy. Oh my God. Being an uncle's like the best. It's awesome because you get them all crazy and all hyped up and you just give them back. But no, I mean, I love my one nephew, Cole. He's 3. I'm starting to get him into wrestling a little bit.
Oh boy.
And I'm just kind of just planting small little seeds and just toughen them up a little bit here and there. You know what I mean? And just same time that now I got him to the point where whenever I come over or he's over for Sunday dinner, he's like, let's wrestle, let's roughhouse. And then I'll just beat the crap out of him and just throw him against it. And he gets right back up. He's like, all right, let's go. And then, so basically just hyping them up, getting them all crazy, and then giving back to my brother, just watching my brother just self-destruct, just having him get in the car seat, having him again. He's like, Will, come on, we talked about it. I was like, all right, well, he asked me to wrestle first. I mean, it's not like I didn't do it. But.
Isn't it so funny though? Like how everything, I'm sure for your brothers, they get it. They both have kids?
Yeah, Darren has 1 and Tommy has 2.
Right. So like everything is a problem when you're a parent. Like the way that you think as a person without kids is completely different. The way everything revolves around nap time. I mean, the time that they eat, them roughhousing, them winding down, everything.
Our family, our Sunday dinners now like revolve around like when the kids' naps are. I was like, we're having dinner at 2:00. I'm like, what the hell is it? And then like my brother, and then it's my brother's birthday. Sunday, or it was like a Sunday. He's like, we gotta have breakfast at like a family brunch at like 8:00. We're meeting. I was like, why? I was like, why? I was like, what is this? I was like, and it's like, oh, the kid Jack's got to go for a nap then, and that's when they think. I'm like, oh my God. But yeah, no.
Just wait, my brother.
Oh yeah, I know.
Just wait.
I've seen the shifting gears of my brothers, which has been so cool to see because like, you know, they're just seeing them become that person and that father. And, you know, and it changes people, and it's an awesome thing to see. You know what I mean? It's great to be a part of. You know?
Wow, I'm excited to hear that, man. So my daughter, Callie, she's the same age. She'll be 4 in June, on June 16th. Nice. So it's nice to know that there are young men out there that are becoming tough young men, right?
That's
the type of boy that I want my daughter with, right?
Cole Carter is gonna be a savage, but I promise.
Yeah, because I'm looking at some of these boys in Callie's class, man. I'm like, you're not it, my brother. You are not it. I know I'm a little bully.
You're a protective dad. That's good.
Absolutely.
That's good.
Well, that's why too. Like I'm like, listen, I'll be damned if I'm out here looking like a scrub. Just talking from a physical standpoint. Like if I'm just looking like a scrub when my daughter's in high school, like that's motivation for me now. Yeah, I'm like, I get it. Like people, you know, they always just say, oh, wait till you're 25, wait till you're 30, wait till you're 35, when I'm 50, I'm going to be on fire.
100%.
Put it here first. You heard it.
Wow.
Anything that we didn't touch on that you want to share?
I want to give a shout out to Boundless Nutrition. They are
I love Boundless.
Yeah, Boundless. They're a supplement.
Amanda and Joe.
Yes.
Right? Those are my people over there, Amanda and Joe.
Yeah,
we gotta connect.
They're a supplement store in Pleasantville, Westchester. They make amazing shakes. If you ever need any supplements, you know, and they're really good for, especially as a teacher, you know, kids want to get into supplements. You know, I mean, it's just a great place to go because they're going to give you knowledge. They're not going to like push anything that they need to on that month, that like, you know, GMC or anything like that. They're going to give what your kid needs, what helps. I got to shout out my coworkers who've been working out with me in the morning, Matt Gallagher and Joe Gaudio. They've been working out with me in the morning. They've been doing my routine. So cool. Got to shout them out. And yeah, that's really it. Just, you know, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, you know, it's possible. It's very possible. Just have to find your groove and be that harsh critic.
Mm. And since you're there on that camera, let everybody know where they can connect and find you.
Big on Instagram, trying to grow my following. Will Carter Forever 45 is my Instagram. Look me up, DM me, send me a message, you know, give me a like, I'll follow, you know, all that stuff. Just good positive energy. I just put out training stuff, you know, just all good things.
What does that 45 mean? Because you have it tatted on you too.
I do, yeah.
What does that mean?
This is, 45 was a family thing. So my brother's best friend, Scott Uzo, wore number 45, and we grew up together. And Scott was an amazing football player, a guy that I looked up with. He was short and stocky like I was. I really looked up to him, grew up with him. Unfortunately, Scott battled mental health and eventually took his own life. And 45 was something he tattooed on his chest because he just loved that number. And when after Scott graduated high school, they gave me 45. So it was almost like shoes to fill. And I was a freshman on varsity, and getting his number was like the end all be all. Like I was just, felt honored. Unfortunately, Scott battled some mental health issues and eventually took his own life. But me and my brother, we honor him. My brother also has 45 tattooed on his chest. We honor him and we honor his memory. And yeah, I have a tattoo on my trap, and it's something that stay with me forever. So, yeah.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
Listen, Will, I got to say thank you, man. Thank you for coming on and sharing your strength and your vulnerability, man. It's a duality that I think is needed. It's something that, myself and Sean specifically really honing into, just as men in general, man. And you talk about the mental health piece. It's something that we talk about here a lot on this podcast. So I appreciate you bringing that to light. But for anybody struggling with anything, man, there's always somebody to talk to. There's always something motivational in that moment. But again, you have to take the action to turn something on, to try to change and shift that thought, right? Thoughts are just thoughts. The same way that you take that remote and you could change the channel, you have the same exact ability to take a negative thought and turn it to a positive one. No one's saying that it's easy, but you can do it. So that's a great place to end.
Yes.
Will, I'm extremely grateful for you, my brother. I'm excited to build this relationship, and maybe I'll come compete against you, man.
Yeah, bro.
I got to be able to listen. I'm gonna say it now. I think I can shoulder press heavier dumbbells than Will Carter.
Maybe.
Let's go. Let's go. I'm putting up 120s, bro.
Yeah.
You
maybe.
are too?
Yeah, maybe. If
Oh, God, you see?
No, I'm kidding.
Very humble, man. No, thank you, my brother. I appreciate you. Guys, share the show. Follow Will. His journey is an incredible one, and I have a feeling that it's really just getting started. This is going to be a huge year for you. As always, you can shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. And until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
Will motherfucking Carter. Wow. That was powerful.
That was awesome. That was great.
Thank you guys for tuning in. That's another epi in the books. You can follow us on Instagram at No Snooze Podcast and leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze. Shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. Come on.